Hello everyone, it's Jerry Caudell, the Yankee Creek Stitcher. I'm back for Flosstube number 40. It is Saturday, January 30th of 2021. I hope everyone has had a fabulous January because it's almost over. It's kind of crazy that this year has flown by so far. So I just finished recording a floss organization and storage video. And depending on how long this floss tube is, I may attach it to this video. If not, I'll do it separate, depending on how long this one goes. So be on the lookout for that. And we're just gonna jump right into it here. So the last couple of weeks, I have done quite a bit of stitching. Happy with my progress. So let's go into Whip Go. So my Whip Go projects, the numbers that were called for January was for my Christmas Quaker 2, or Quaker Christmas. I can't remember if it's Quaker Christmas or Christmas Quaker. Let's see here. Anyway, 3 numbers were called since the free space was included, and I used that to get progress done. So I had 3 tasks, and Quaker Christmas 2 was 2 of those numbers. So my goal for each number called is 1,000 stitches on that project. So I was able to complete the 2,000 stitches for Quaker Christmas. So super thrilled with my progress. But 2,000 stitches on this large of a project just doesn't look like very much. If I have a picture before I started my 2,000 stitches, I'll insert that here. And this is where I'm at after my 2,000 stitches. It was just over like 2,054. So I finished the words at the top, and of course did several motifs down here. The stocking, I know that I did, last night I did quite a bit of stitching. I did the angel, all of this. But yeah, absolutely love my progress on this, and just love stitching this. I didn't think I would be crazy about stitching the same color, but right now I'm loving it. The red has just the ever so slight variation, so it's fun to watch that come out. You can see some in the angel here. It's not a whole lot, and I don't like heavily variegated, so super thrilled with that and my progress. So 2,000 stitches completed on this one. And the other number that was called was for Prairie Schooler Christmas Village. And I got my 1,000 stitches on it as well. And so here is where I'm at. For my 1,000 stitches, I did the trees, finished up to the trees, finished this tree, did that tree, and the part of that, I think this is a house. I think that's still a house building there. So yeah, 1,000 stitches. Still only, probably not even halfway done with this. So I can show you my Whip Go board. You just love filling in the spaces and get your numbers complete. So the pink is the ones I've completed. And for February, the numbers were drawn the 27th of January. So it was number 4, so Miss Baxter's house. And number 20 is Halloween Quaker by Lila's Studio. So excited. about those two getting called, because I really want to get some progress made on those. So I'll show you where I'm at on those, because we can't start stitching those until February, so, or I'm not going to anyway. So here's a quick look at where I'm at on Miss Baxter's house. Or is this, what's that what that's called? Let me see. Yes. Houses of Barry's Chapel Road, Miss Baxter's house. I know that's what I always call it, just to make sure that's right. So here's where I'm at as of Saturday, January 30th. So we'll see how far 1,000 stitches gets me. Hopefully a long, long way. So that's Miss Baxter's, and then the other one that was called Halloween Quaker by Light Studio, and this in my project bag with the pumpkins. I'll show you that's ultimately what it's going to look like, which will take many thousand stitches to do all that. So here's where I'm at before I start in February. My progress so far. This is being stitched on the called for Murky, 36 count Murky. Ooh. All rolled up here, sorry. So here's where I'm at. As you can tell, I'm working down there at the bottom on the tree and houses. The little scene of the houses and the trees there. So here's where I'm at so far. I love stitching on this, so I was excited to have it called for February. So that is part of my February plans, is my 2 whip goes. Okay. And so the other items I stitched on was my work / card project was Autumn Bouquet. Okay, so Blackbird charts I don't normally keep in the project bags. I have my working copy. So this is the actual chart. And I love stitching on this. I did not make as much progress on this as I had hoped, but that's okay. I'll take what progress I can get. If I have a before picture that I shared from you, shared with you last Flosstube, I'll insert that here. And so here is where I'm at. I think what I've stitched on since last Flosstube was I continued up the vine this way and the leaves. So pretty. This is 36 count and I'm stitching 1 over 2. It's just such a beautiful chart. Love stitching on this. And I am going to continue. It was my Focus on a Finish project for this month, and so I'm carrying that over as my into February as I focus on a finish. The other whip I have worked on is Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow. This is my weekend focus piece. This huge, beautiful piece. And so my goal was to at least get the, well, my goal was to get into block 2. I did at least finish block 1. It is totally done. Back stitching and everything is totally done on this piece. Olivia with Pumpkin Hollow Quilts is just blowing it out of the water. But yeah, block 1 totally done. So I've pulled the floss colors for block 2, and all I've done is record videos this morning, so hopefully a little later today I'll get to stitch on this a bit, and tomorrow. And let's see. Oh, my other whip that I got to an awesome completion point is my quilt. I got all the blocks done, and the top is pieced. All the blocks are pieced together. I still have to do the borders. I don't have enough fabric that it called to use for the borders, but I'm still going to use some fabric that's in this quilt. I just have to determine which ones I'm going to use. But I'm not going to, it calls for, I think, a couple of borders. I'm just going to put probably just one around it. I don't want it to be real big. I'm going to have it as a wall hanging. So I was thrilled to get that together. Very happy with it. So I did have a start. I was in the Valentine spirit of getting some Valentine stitching, so I am switching my work card project to this freebie from the Tiny Modernist. It is on their website, I guess. It's a 2019 freebie from the Tiny Modernist. These are the Floss colors. It's DMC. It calls for DMC. All the pinks and reds. And I've watched a few Flosstubes of making the little floss bling, you know, the pretty things you put on your floss rings. I used fabric, and the pink and red fabric, it bled into the purple with the glue. That's okay. It looks kind of cool. But I've watched several, and the last one I watched, and she went into very good detail, was Bonnie with the Log Cabin Stitcher. I love listening to Bonnie. She has so many great stories and such interesting projects. So yeah, that's my floss colors, and I do plan on making some more, just not with fabric that's going to bleed like that. So I am stitching this on 28 count color and cotton sampler gold. Oh, let's get this orientated. I've only stitched the one color, and that's my progress so far. I just switched this over to my work card project, so that's all my progress on that one. And I also pulled the floss and fabric to, and I'm just keeping it in the same project bag. It's another freebie as well from the Primitive Hair, and I'm stitching it on the same 28 count sampler gold from Color Cotton. I haven't started on it yet. I do have everything together and pulled, and it's in the project bag, so whichever one I feel like stitching on that day. And I'm using Weeks Dye Works Lancaster Red. I just love that deep red on that gold color. I think it's so pretty. So yeah, that was a new start and will be my upcoming project. So that was all the whips that I had to share with you. My videos can be shorter now since I don't have, you know, a year's worth of information to share with you. So my upcoming plans for February is going to be my weekend project, focus project is still going to continue to be Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow. My work card project is going to be the Valentine stitches, and my whip go is going to be 1,000 stitches on Halloween Quaker and 1,000 stitches on Miss Baxter's house. And my focus on a finish is going to continue to be Autumn Bouquet. And I'm also want to have this done because I have several quilt projects lined up that I want to do. And of course, my main priority is going to be to get my daughter's quilt quilted and done. That's the first goal. But I do have some other projects I want to start getting the fabric pulled for and starting to cut on it. It's just a matter of deciding which one to start first. I really don't want to have a lot of quilt whips. That would just be too much. I don't mind having a lot of cross stitch whips. They can go in their project bags and be done, but I don't have a lot of places to put quilt projects. So yeah, that's my plans, and I think I'm gonna have a pretty short video. So I will go ahead and attach the floss storage and organization video to the end of this one. So I hope you enjoy. Have any questions about that or need more details, I would be glad to provide that. So until next time, I will see you in a couple of weeks. Hello, it's Jerry Caudill, the Yankee Creek Stitcher, and I'm here today for a special floss tube to show you how I organize and store my floss, both fancy floss and DMC. So we're just going to jump right in. I'll show you a quick view of a little bit further away so you can see the whole area here. This is the cross stitch area of my studio, so I'll insert just that little clip here. Okay, so this is the cross stitch area in my new studio, and we'll go up here close in a moment and I'll show you all the goodies. But I have 2 windows in this room, and so it is very bright in this room, which is awesome for sewing and stitching and all the fun stuff. So this is the little corner of cross stitch. This does not include my linens. They are in a separate cabinet that I'll show you in a later tour of the studio. So let's go up close here. As you can see, I do store all of my floss over here. And I have a table that I can work on, sort through my flosses, do a floss toss. That's pretty much where I do all of that. And the filing cabinet at the bottom is where I do file all of my charts. And you can see underneath there is like a 3-drawer organizer that I keep my extra DMC floss. And once we get up close and go through the details, I'll show you that. So, but this is the little stitching area. And so let's go dig in and I'll show you my floss organizing system. So as you can see, I have the wall here of floss. I wanted to show you a further picture away so you could see the whole effect here. It's hard to show you up close details of what I'm going to show you, and so you can see the whole area. So we'll start with the actual storage system that I'm using. I like to see my floss and have quick access to it. And also I love walking into the room and seeing the beautiful bright colors. It is in the corner, so the sun does not hit them directly, so I'm not worried about color fade from sunlight. But the wire system here are from IKEA. It's called Dignitect from IKEA. It's item number 6007525. It is actually a curtain hanging system that they have. So it comes with 2 of the posts there that need to be screwed into a wall stud because it's based on tension of pulling that wire and holding the wire straight. So it's best that it's screwed into the wall studs. So what you get with this is the two fixtures coming out from the wall and the wire, and you get plenty of wire. Then the next item that is separate is also from IKEA, and it's the, here it is. You get 24. There's 24 in this pack. Let me dump them out. But it's from IKEA as well. It's called Quilting. You get 24, and it is the little hanging clip there that, you know, hangs. You can hang onto the wire, and then the clip that I use to hold the binder ring, book binder rings that I got from Amazon. So it's the Dignitech and the Quilting, and there's 24 in this pack. So I have a couple of packs, and plus I got some more off of Amazon, and they are the black ones. So you can get them from Amazon as well. So as far as hanging up my system, it's those two items from IKEA, and then I got some bookbinder rings, and these are the 2-inch bookbinder rings from Amazon. Okay, so after my husband installed that for me, as you've seen, I had 3 levels of floss, and that is because it has to still be reachable over my table here. So that was the highest comfortable height. So I was able to get 3 rows, and so far it's fitting on my floss. And this is only my fancy floss collection. My DMC, I will eventually be putting into this system, but we'll talk about DMC here in a bit. So all of my I have Classic Colorworks, Color and Cotton, Gentle Arts, Weeks, and some Victorian Motto. No, it's not a whole set of all of those, by no means. It may look like it. But I am part of Trish with 3 Out Threads Nest Egg. And for the past probably 1.5 years, I have gotten the Gentle Arts upgrade, which is their 10-yard skeins of Gentle Arts flosses. And she's went alphabetically. So I'm now to the point of kind of getting repeats, which I'm fine with repeats. But I pretty much have a pretty much extensive collection of Gentle Arts. I have just over 200 of Gentle Art threads. Let me make sure. Yeah, just over 200 of Gentle Art. So if you're not part of her nest egg, and I know a couple months ago she wasn't taking any new, I don't know if it's members or any new ads to the nest egg, you know, just because of floss production and how far behind all the companies were. But so this month I've actually switched over to Weeks Dye Works. So now I'll be getting more Weeks Dye Works. So what I do when I receive floss in, and what I did to get this system in place, is I use Excel. I love Excel. I love to organize and sort, and so I love this. It's a little bit of an extensive system, so it may not be for everyone, but I love organizing. I love detail. So for me, this works great. And, you know, it does take maintaining, and I'm okay with that. When I don't feel like stitching, you know, some days you just don't feel like stitching and you just feel like playing with your floss or at least doing something crafty, I'll come in here, a glass of wine, and I'll start. If there's anything that needs to be done with a floss, I can do my floss, which, you know, I get 10 skeins in from Trish. So I'll go through, I'll receive floss from her. And what I do is go to my Excel sheet. And that's the very first thing I do before I do anything else with it. I'll go to my Excel sheet. And what my Excel sheet consists of is the thread companies. So I have each thread company listed here. And then I have a list of the flosses that I have of theirs in alphabetical order. So you can see here each company, and I have every floss listed that I have of theirs in alphabetical order. And you can see like Classic Colorworks, and then it says ring number. And the ring number refers to the ring number that is on. So I can just unclip that, grab my ring, and I have a card that has the ring number on it. So each ring is numbered 1 through, it'll probably be going up to about 40 or so. I'm in the middle of where I've gotten a lot of floss since I last set up the system. I am now going through and I'm having to like thin out some rings. Like there's a lot of floss on this ring. So this will get thinned out a little bit. And so it'll move ring numbers. So that's what I'm currently doing, is kind of thinning out the rings so there's not as many on each ring. So like I said, I'll come in here with a glass of wine and play with it for an hour or two. So this is by no means nothing that I set up in one day. It's been ongoing for, well, every month that I get more floss, you go through and color coordinate where the new floss is going to go. So that is what the ring number refers to. So I get, I was going to do something close alphabetically. So I got Gentle Art, and this is peach ice cream. So I go to Gentle Art, I go down, and peach ice cream. So if I have a duplicate, I only listed on here once. You could list it on there twice if you want to, just so that way you know how many skeins that you had. Most of them I have one. So peach ice cream, I added it in there alphabetically. Then I go to my rings and decide which ring is going to be the closest color for that floss. So yeah, these are not alphabetically on my rings. They are by color. So that's what I would do next, is go through, it's a light orange, light yellow. I would go through and pick the appropriate ring and assign it that ring number. Say it was ring 10. I would go here and enter ring and put 10 in that column. I do this because when I get a chart and it calls for flosses, I can go into the search bar, I hit search, type in whatever the name of the color is that I'm needing, hit search, and it takes me to each company that has that color floss name. Because there are repeat names with companies. May not be the exact same color, but there are the same names. So it will take me to each one that's called that. So I can go, if it's Gentle Art peach ice cream, I can type that into the search bar. It shows me, yes, I have Gentle Arts peach ice cream, and it tells me what ring number that is on. So if I had a color and it told me it was ring 28, I can grab ring 28. So I do have on across here, I have colors by ring. So ring number 1 has all of these flosses. That's the floss name, and that is the company, because like I said, some companies you know, use the same name for their flosses. So Gast might have a peach ice cream, and Classic Colorworks might have a peach ice cream. So it'll tell me if it's Gast peach ice cream or Weeks Dye Works peach ice cream. So I have the company name and the floss color. And it's on ring number 1. So I can go to ring number 1, and yes, this is an order of how they are on the ring. So each ring I put the number in front of, you can see this floss ring here. This is light to dark, and my number is in front of the light. So when I go to this floss ring, and I can see it was like the 4th one on that ring, I can pretty much just go to the 4th one and see that's the one I needed. So that's how I get them in the specific rings. It's by color. I do not have them listed alphabetically. And as you can see, there's Victorian Motto, Classic Colorworks, Weeks Dye Works. They're all on this ring. So I go by color. Because if I don't have a certain color and I know it's a red, I'll just pull my floss rings of reds. I have, you know, pinks all the way to deep dark reds. So whatever color range of red I'm needing, I just pull those rings, and I'm able to bring them down here and do a floss toss and determine, you know, if I want to change a red or get a something as similar as I can to what it was called for that I didn't have. So that's why I like to put them in color order. That way, if I don't have the called for, all of my reds are in that area, and I can just pull them all down here and play with them. And when I'm done, put them right back up. But I also wanted to show you that even if I do have repeats, and because this is a really good example, even if I do have repeats, as you know, lot numbers, lot colors can be very different. And a prime example is the General Art Barn Gray. I have 3 skeins of it, 1 partial, but you can see this Baker's Gray is a lot lighter than these 2. So this Baker's Gray actually might go on a different floss ring because it's a lighter gray. But because it is the same name from the same company, I keep all the Baker's Gray together, even though there is that variation. Because depending on how new or old the chart is, it may call for the lighter or the darker gray. So, you know, if the chart calls for the lighter color, but maybe I don't like the lighter color, I do have this darker color option in that Baker's Gray. So I do keep them all together the same name, even if the color itself may go on a different ring. So there's that. And then let's see. So when I get my shipment from Trish, like I said, I enter it on my Excel sheet under the company. And because I may not do the entire process of getting these on their floss rings and totally done for that night, if I've got it entered into the Excel sheet, I have this little basket of little tools that I use. Once I got it on my Excel sheet, listed alphabetically only, I do cut off because I like, you can see that the floss pretty much hangs at the same level. Well, General Arts floss cards are a lot longer, especially Weeks Dye Works. They're the huge difference in height. So I'm used to whose cards are whose, and depending on the company, sometimes I'll cut their name off completely just to get the right height. But General Art, I can just cut the name of that pretty much just in half there. I still see that it's the General Art, but I also know that it's their floss tag. I just cut that off, throw it away. And then I use my own hole punch. It's a great hole punch. It actually punches through several layers of cardstock at one time, which is great because I do make my own little floss tags, and I'll show you that here in a moment. But I got this off of Amazon. It's the bow stitch hole punch. So stick it in there. And I try to get the hole just below where I can still see the name. I could have went just a little bit lower, but that's okay. So I got the hole punched, and so it can go on my floss ring. And so from that point, if I were to stop right there and went and did something else and not come back for a week later, if I seen the floss card like this, I already know, okay, it's in my Excel sheet, it's ready to go up to storage. That's just easy for me. It's a flag of why it is sitting on my table. Because you can see there's quite a bit of floss here that I need to get up onto here. So, okay, I'm going to refer to my notes just a moment. Okay, so I traded out some of my tools for this next segment here. And so after I've got it up there for storage, I've got me a chart that I want to pull some floss for. So what I do is first I'll get me a ring, and to store my floss up here is the 2-inch bookbinders. For my actual floss rings that I use in my project bags, I use a 1.5-inch binder ring, bookbinder ring. So they're a little bit smaller, a little more friendly to use in your project bags. I do make my own floss cards because I do not pull the entire skein of floss for a project. I will only pull off an appropriate amount per project. If it's like an ornament, I will pull off, well, let me show you. Here's a good example. Sorry, it's kind of hard to do this by the seat of your pants, but I want to make sure that I get my entire process in here for you. So here's a good one. This was for, oh gosh, I don't remember which project this was for. But anyway, I needed, this is Victorian Motto Jubilee. And so when I decided this was the color I needed, I have my little floss tags that I've made myself. They are here and they are different colors. I get a pack of cardstock. I got this from Joann's. I think there was 100 sheets in it. I use a paper cutter, and this is 8.5 by 11 sheets that I got this in. I use a paper cutter and I cut them in 1.5 by 2 inches. Is how I cut them. Using a big old paper cutter, you can cut several sheets at one time, so that's why I can get a big old stack and always have them ready to go. Sorry. Whenever I need to pull floss for a project. So I cut them there. Then I have a 1.5-inch circle paper punch. And it's Fisker's brand. Unfortunately, you can only punch one at a time. So this is another good project. Bring you in a glass of wine and punch away for an hour or so and get your stock built back up if your floss cards. So I use the 1/2-inch hole for the bottom where the floss itself hangs, as you can see here. And then I go back and punch them again. Yes, this is labor intensive. Yes, I know there are other floss cards out there. It is just really inexpensive to buy a big pack of cardstock, and I can buy whatever color I want. I've got cardstock with pizza slices and donuts and just solid colors. Plenty of cardstock options out there. So yeah, I then go through and do the top hole. Okay, so after I have my binder ring, or my floss ring, and my floss cards out and ready. I will then go through, pull whatever colors I'm needing. And the very first thing I do is, these are 9-inch links if you cut the loop. And what I do, oops, I go to the bottom here and cut that loop. And I pull my floss off of this ring. That's why I cut that loop. I loosen it up here just a little bit. And if I'm needing, say this is for an ornament, so, you know, I'm not gonna, I usually stitch one with one strand of floss. So for me, 2 links of this, so you can pull, once you got that loosened up, pull it off. So there's 1 6-strand length and 2 6-strand length, and straighten that back up. So then, apologies. I take my 2 strands, line them up in half, and put them on their new floss card. Just like that. And then I write on here the company name and the color. And yes, these get reused. If I have leftover floss after I'm done stitching the project, they go back onto the same ring they came off of, just in front of or behind the parent floss card. Easy as that. They get reused over and over. And yes, you know, I have, 50 whips. So there are multiple floss cards of the same floss color. But there's not very many up here on my storage rings that are multiple, because they're in project bags. So, you know, I might have 2 or 3 at the most, but that's very rare. So yeah, the name gets written, the company name and the color name, and then they go on the floss ring and it's ready for my project. Now, of course, bigger projects like my Christmas Quaker 2, I have, 10 or 15 skeins of the red and 5 or 6 skeins of the green. All of those are in that project. They don't get put up here. They don't get used. And yes, you can have dye lot issues. But like I said, if it's a bigger project, take the whole skein or take off 10 strands. That's just a decision you would have to make yourself. Okay, I'll make sure I'm not forgetting to tell you anything. Okay, so as far as fancy floss, that's how I store my fancy floss. Okay, to share with you DMC, I went ahead and switched the product out so it's easier to show you how I do DMC. I currently have 2 of these storage bins that hold my DMC collection. And I did use the little floss cards. I can't remember what they're called. We know what they are. But I did use that system, and then pulled it whenever I would need it for a project. Just pulled the whole floss card and stuck it in my project. Well, of course, with all my whips now, I was trying to figure out how do I'm not going to buy a skein for every project, basically. So I am going to implement this same storage system on this wall and over on the opposite wall for my DMC. And my DMC will be numerically stored on floss rings on this wall. But until then, I do have them on these. So when I need a DMC color, what I have is a really thick piece of cardboard. They're used a lot. I've gotten several pieces. I know when I get charts mailed to me, they're that really thick thick cardboard, but not too thick that you can't just cut through it with some scissors. And I cut it 9 inches long because that's the same length as the fancy floss. So I want all my floss to be the same. And I like stitching with the 18-inch length of floss. So I have a 9-inch card, and what I do is just put the end of that floss there. And as I said with my fancy floss, it kind of depends on how big your project is that you're needing it. But if I'm not sure, and if it's average, you know, standard size chart, I just use the number 5. So I rack this 5 times. Just take it, wrap, and you can hear the little thing rolling around here. So there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's 5 18-inch lengths wrapped on this 9-inch card. From this point, I just snip that off. So this is the end that has my the two ends of the floss. So I'm going to hold that down there, slide it off my little card. That's what the little nicks are for, so that it slides off this card easier. So that's my center point. I take a floss tag, pull it through and snug it on the floss tag. And so that's the 2 ends of the floss. So I make sure that's at the bottom. I take my scissors and snip that. So now I have 5 strands of floss for that project. And so far it's worked out good, that amount. And when I'm done with the project, here's my DMC that I've finished projects with that I need to go get a couple more of these systems to hang on this wall, and I can start putting them, because I don't want to put them back on the bobbins. There's the word, bobbins. So this is my DMC that I finished projects with. So I've just got them on a bigger floss ring in numerical order. So yeah, I do write the number on there, and they get reused over and over. If I needed to change the number on there, I would just mark it out, and there's plenty of room on there to write another number. So that is how I do my DMC. And then of course it gets put on its floss ring for the project bag. So that is my floss storage. It has worked great for me, especially with the number or the amount of floss that I have. But like I said, I love walking in here and with all the bright colors. I just love it. And it's so user-friendly when you're needing to pull floss for a project. If you don't have the called for, you just go to your reds, or you go to your greens, or you go to your purples, and find whatever is going to work for you. It works great. It's nice just having it right here beneath this table. I can do my floss toss. So it's worked really well for me. It does take maintenance. It's not, you know, just throwing it into a purple bin or sorting it just alphabetically. I like being able to play with the floss and see what I have. So this works for me. And like I said, Excel is an important tool so that you can go through and search, since of course this isn't alphabetically, so you need to be able to search quickly if you have that color or not, and it takes you straight to the ring that you need. So I hope this was informative. It may not have been as smooth as my floss tubes are, because it's kind of, I wanted to remember all the little points that I wanted to tell you. So if you have any further questions, please comment below. I'll be glad to answer them. IKEA, you can order online, because I know they're just random throughout the state. So that's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helps some of you get organized. I know a lot of us are doing this early in the year. So yeah, if you have any questions, post them below. If not, I'll see you on my next Flosstube.